Hey, this is the Antisocial Socialite back at it again. Thanks so much for tuning in. If you are new to the channel or have not subscribed, please hit the subscribe button, smash that notification bell, so anytime I get to running this MOUF, this BITCH, yes sir, you are in the mix. Thanks so much for tuning in. You see the title, hopefully there is a title, sometimes there is no title, but the title is, Do Black Women Want a Black Community? When I actually wanted to do this video, I was like, I want to have some opposing viewpoints. I want to try and put a case forward for black women. And I thought to myself, I really don't have any points for black women. It's really sad. So I'm just going to answer the question. In my opinion, the answer is either no, they don't want a black community, or it's just something they don't even think about. Why do I say this? There's a lot of things that go into building a functioning community. Work, obviously creating jobs, stable families, working in partnership with your men. And to be honest with you, that's what a community is. It's a collection of people working together, trying to put forward their best for the collective interest of the whole of the group. So when I look around, I have a lot of friends from the West Indies, Africa, some from South America. They have a very strong cultural identity. And, you know, if you go around certain places, around the UK, you always have, and everywhere knows it, because I know in the States it's the same thing, you have your little India, you have your Chinatown, you have your Latin quarters, you have your, we have areas that are populated heavily by Greek Cypriots. We have areas that are heavily dominated by Turkish people. We have areas that are, out and out Jewish. These people create businesses amongst themselves, and then they continue to buy from each other, and then they sell to everybody. Okay? Unfortunately, it's only us who seem to not understand that we cannot include everybody when it comes to building economic wealth and strength. And the foundation of these societies, I was going to say civilizations, the foundation of all of these ethnic groups, their ability to monopolize and kind of extract resources from the wider community is the fact that they have a strong sense of cultural identity and they care about their own legacy first. This kind of piggybacks on the video that I did yesterday, inclusion mindset versus a dominance mindset. At the end of the day, most people are employed. There's no getting around that. Whether you're black, white, blue, most people are employed by somebody else. And if you are in, obviously, a westernized country, chances are you are going to be employed by a white person. So there's no slight on you, that whether you are a black, a white, an Asian, a Chinese person, whatever. Chances are, if you have an employer, the person at the top is white. Now, one of the things I find so weird and so strange is black women like to brag about their degrees, they like to brag about their education, but these are degrees in education that they got at the hands of white men. They don't just go to black-owned colleges and universities. They're not all being employed by black people. They are going to white colleges as well. Sorry for the background wind. I hope you can still hear me. They're going to colleges and universities that are owned by white people. They're acquiring education at the hands of white people, but then they're looking down on black men saying you're defeated because you work for the white man. Now, this kind of logic makes no sense. It's rude, it's disrespectful, and it's illogical. If you cared so much about whether you're black king, as a lot of these pro-blacks like to throw the word around just to kind of sweeten you up a bit, if they really cared about you actually having an education from a black college, they would support black colleges more. Okay, they would support programs and schemes that would help black boys to become successful black men. Okay, they would actually invest time and money into things like mentoring programs specifically for black boys, because at the end of the day, whether black women like it or not, if you elevate your men, you're going to overall elevate the black community. This is another reason why a lot of people get fed up with pro-blacks, because pro-blacks clearly just worship black women. They actually feed off of black women. All they care about is getting validation from black women, worshipping them, giving them a pass. And it's like they don't want to do anything, so they never want to address the root of the problem, which is how black women raise black boys. It's sad and it's unfortunate, really, because the whole pro-black stance has really been, the name has been dragged through the mud. Nobody really wants to be associated with being pro-black anymore, because the name is destroyed. At the end of the day, if you are a person who claims to be pro-black, but you are only pro-black woman, you are not a pro-black person. And just because a black woman says, oh, I call my man king and he's a prince and his lineage is back in Africa, the reality is this: no one cares about how your lineage goes back to Tutankhamun, okay? It's irrelevant. What really is important is, what are you doing for black boys here and now? And this is why I say deep down black women do not want to build a community. What they really want is to dominate the community and then have black men and black boys work to serve their needs, whether it's sexually, financially. Maybe it's just, I need a bit of arm candy and some companionship, and then I send you on your way. And okay, you might win the battle, but you're definitely going to lose the war on this one, because a time is going to come where you probably won't even be able to pay for sex as a woman, because it is what it is. As a man gets older, his sexual marketplace value goes up, and his options are always much wider than that of a woman. So when a man decides that he's had enough, he can always just hop the fence and find love and relationships and start again afresh, a whole new family somewhere else. The option for women is not the same. Okay, this is why you have women constantly crying, where's my protection? Where is my, what have you built for me? Where have all the good men gone? Blah, blah, blah. At the end of the day, you didn't build the good men. That's why there is a shortage of good men. Okay, so this notion of black women wanting a black community, if a black woman says I'm pro-black, or if a black woman says I'm for the community, you need to be asking them, and I need to be asking them, so what do you do for black boys? Because until black women start with their boys, and actually it's not starting with their boys, it's starting with the men that they choose to have the boys with in the first place. If you are not securing a decent father for your kids, then the reality is this: you're already putting those children in a disadvantaged position. They become dysfunctional. If they're growing up in single mother households, they're more likely to be dropouts at school. They're more likely to be academically and professionally unsuccessful. They're more likely to get into trouble, become teenage parents. There are a whole host of problems associated with raising children in a single parent environment. This is why brothers are so against single mothers and things like that. It's not because they hate them, it's not because they've got an issue with them, it's not because they've got mommy issues, it's because statistics show there are a lot of problems associated with children who do not grow in a stable environment, a two-parent household that's functional, where you have, a nurturing mother and a patriarchal father. Okay, so you will know whether a woman is for the black community depending on, when it comes to the criteria of what she wants in a man or a mate, what she will tell you she picks or what she looks for. If the top priorities are superficial, that person is not pro-black. They could have dashikis coming out of their behind. If their priorities are not right, they are not pro-black. Okay, it's not just about having the title of being pro-black. It's about actually the actions that lead to a positive outcome for the black community. If women pick the wrong types of men to have children for, that is not a positive move for the black community, because until you empower your children by giving them a good mother, then you're never going to have functioning families, and you're never going to have a functioning community. So when a woman says I'm pro-black, you need to be asking questions like, so what do you do for black boys? What kind of programs do you support for black men? Do you give to black-owned charities? Do you support black-owned businesses? It's not about, oh, I need to do all this uber spiritual, let me just talk about Africa every 5 minutes and use some, hotepology language and all this bullshit. No, it's got to be tangible. Every other, ethnic group, they have their religious beliefs, they have their spirituality or whatever it is that they like to do, But at the end of the day, they understand that you can't be so spiritually minded that you have no use on earth. It's only black people that want to be so spiritual, but they never actually get their hands dirty to do the work. And, obviously a lot of pro-blacks, because they are pro-black women, they're very feminist in their thinking. They love to use shaming tactics and shaming language for the people who are actually walking away. It's like, what have you built? But then when you go to a white-owned school or a white-owned company, they say you're a coon because you go to a white-owned school. It doesn't make any sense. It can't be both. You can't be somebody who is productive and at the same time you're getting that money from the white society, which you can invest into the black community, but you're shamed by your own black people and labelled as a coon and a sellout. Every other race understands this. Work with your own people, buy from your own people as much as you can, but when you make products, sell to anybody who will buy it. This is how you move wealth from out of the black community into the black community. This is why pro-blacks are not pro-black, and this is why black women do not want a black community. They like the fact that the black community is a matriarchy where they can run things and they can use black men as a utility. And whether they know it or they don't, this is what's actually happening, because this is the mentality that is being passed down from mothers to daughters. Okay? How not to be a wife, how not to be nurturing, how not to be loving, how not to have respect for your own men. There's no way you can build a functioning community if there's no respect between the men and the women. There's no code. Apart from people who come from abroad, who maybe have strong cultural roots, as I said, I have a lot of friends from different ethnic backgrounds. Even the ones who are born in the UK, they see themselves as their ethnic background first. Many of them don't see themselves as English or British first. They see themselves as Jamaicans or Grenadians or Guyanese or whatever, from they're Ghanaians or whatever, even when they're born and raised in the UK. Okay, so this idea of being all-inclusive and actually helping everybody get along, to go along, to get along, it's not going to work, because the resources that are in the black community are already limited. We cannot share with outsiders who don't need our help. They are literally just leeching off of black people. The black society is nothing more than a sex class and a slave class. Okay? Because we cannot compete economically, because we don't have as many black-owned businesses, companies, we don't have unity in terms of the way we operate with each other, we are not able to unify to compete. Now, am I for unity just for the sake of unity? No, because what a lot of people, especially the pro-blacks who talk about unity, mean is support those who can't be bothered to support themselves. Those people have to be left behind because they are a drain on the resources. But if we are able to build economic wealth, we'll be able to challenge white supremacy or racism, or promote our own forms of media that don't emasculate black men and masculinize black women. We can put forward politicians, we can back campaigns, we can do the things that will actually create wealth in the black community that stays and generates income in the black community. But black women, they don't even talk about legacy. This is why I said to you, these black female YouTubers, secretly they hate you. They're laughing at you. They understand that black people are so used to being consumers and always needing to buy from other people rather than generating their own things. They can just sell you more narratives and you put your hand in your pocket again. They're selling you a bag of dreams, and in return you're getting nothing except more disappointment, more negativity. It just feeds the machine. You know, do I think the black community can be saved and helped? I do, because at the end of the day, we have social media. Social media is very powerful, but people have to use their voice for the right things, and people have to also choose to use their ears for the right things. If you're listening to negativity, poison, criticisms of black men, you know, I'm not saying that we shouldn't criticize black men, because black men do things that are not admirable. But on the flip side, when black men open up and say, well, this is the issues we have, as black women who claim we want to build something, we have to also be receptive to that message, not just twist it into somehow, oh, well, you're just complaining, or I'm still the victim in all of this. You know, if black women are not talking about legacy, if they're not talking about generational wealth, if they're not talking about shunning people in the society who actually make everybody else look bad, and working with productive thinking black men, those women are not pro-black. They are not about a black community. They are about black women first. They're about the black girl magic. They're about black girls rock. They're about supporting their daughters and setting their daughters up to have, you know, independence. And ultimately it will backfire, because these girls will be unmarriable, they'll be undateable, and they'll be too broken to actually form healthy relationships, even with any race of man, let alone their own men. That's all I got for this one. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you like the video, give it a big thumbs up, and I'll catch you in the next one. Like, share, comment, subscribe. Peace.